Cobra. It's killing time.
Borderlands 2 released on September 9th, 2012, and I got it somehow in the pre-owned section for only £20 in November of 2012. Since then, it's been one of my favourite video games, and will likely hold that title until I die. And not just because of nostalgia, which is the way I feel about Super Mario Galaxy. Let me tell you why this is one of my favourite games in a chilled way, because although this game can be incredibly rage-inducing, I mean, just look at this. It's always the game I find myself returning to when I'm bored to relax, and then end up playing it for 2 weeks straight. The writing in this game is amazing. The main story, while not as incredible as something like GTA 5, is simply badass. It never takes itself too seriously because this franchise, let alone this game in particular, is known for its humour, and its humour is hilarious. Most of the side quest names are puns, and some side quests are just, well,
Do it! Shoot me at the face! Right now!
what the characters say can be both as cool as an infinity pistol and as funny as a boner fart. That's another point, the characters are written so well. There's the playable characters that have some of the most interesting backstories purely because you want to know about their backstories because there are audio logs hidden across the map saying them. Then there's people like Lilith, Tiny Tina and Moxie, the first of which is the biggest badass in all of Pandora. The second of which is the smallest and funniest badass in all of Pandora, and then, okay, let's just go spin the wheel. Going back to what I said earlier about how the story, while written really well as a narrative for a game, it never takes itself too seriously, and I love how that is represented by the game's art style. Cel-shaded graphics, and in my opinion, they are the best type of graphics, as they never get outdated. This game came out in 2012, and it looked amazing on the 360, and still does. Go play GTA 5 on the 360, it doesn't hold up. The same goes for The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. That game came out in 2003, and the graphics look like they could easily pass as graphics from today. Cel-shaded graphics are way better than hyper-realistic graphics for that reason alone, but it's also because of the fact that the cartoony look makes you remember that you're playing a video game and are simply here to have fun, because that's all the amazing developers over at Gearbox wanted you to have. I mean, other than anyone who wants to fight Terramorphous by themselves. No. Earlier when I said that there are characters that are really well written, I bet some of you were confused as to how I could leave out Handsome Jack, or as we find out from the game's audio logs scattered throughout the map, Ugly John. Even if you haven't played this game, you've most probably heard about him and how he's the best video game villain. And yeah, I agree with that, he's certainly my favourite, but he shouldn't be. He is literally just the generic, rich, douchebag CEO who wants to take over the world. But voice actor Damian Clark just absolutely brought him to life. Just like Handsome Jack somehow brought a certain stallion to life.
I should probably clarify. The diamond horse I've been telling you about?
You're
It's not a
dirty
sculpture or anything. It's a living horse that actually happens to be made of. Actually, I'll go get her.
His voice acting is impeccable. You can't help but like him because he's so... But you also find it so satisfying when you or Lilith kill him, especially if he drops the legendary mask. While I'm here, that ending is glorious. I feel the final boss, while simple, isn't too easy or too hard as long as you're the right level. Either way, it's better than this from the first game. And once you do defeat the warrior, the final cutscene is so cool. I remember when I finally beat the game for the first time, I got so excited when this map popped up showing multiple vaults, because I wanted a Borderlands 3 right then and there. But before any other Borderlands games could come out, we got the DLC. The DLC is exceptional. I wish all video game DLCs were like Borderlands 2's DLC. They are all great, except for this. The DLCs feel like their own video games due to how well written and designed they, except for this. But especially this one. Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep may be one of my favourite DLCs from any game. Pretty much, this DLC takes place inside a game of bunkers and badasses, an in-game version of Dungeons and Dragons, of which the campaign is told by the 13-year-old character Tiny Tina, who is excellently performed by Ashley Birch. Sounds cool as hell, right? because it is. It's easily the best written and designed DLCs from any game ever. Look at this, it's beautiful. Not just great views, but incredible map design due to iconic locations and clear paths. Also, the loot is great. You get a gun that shoots swords. All of this is happening in a Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones-esque world, and it's fun, funny, and
awesome!
But in reality, the DLC has a huge theme of dealing with loss, and the whole DLC only happens because Tiny Tina wants to play bunkers and badasses to try and ignore the fact that one of her best friends, Roland, died. It's a really sad ending to the DLC, a 13-year-old trying to cope with the death of a loved one, while Tiny Tina is telling the campaign she is literally going through grief. Scattered throughout the DLC are parts where Tina keeps saying that Roland will show up, but of course, he never does. It's the coolest DLC ever made due to map design, the comedy, the emotional beats, the aesthetic, the loot, and the marvelous story that has dark undertones. Anyway, they also released these very small DLCs called Headhunters, leading up to the release of the prequel game, Borderlands the pre-sequel. They were fine, they all only lasted an hour max and gave you good loot, except for this one. This lasted 2 hours because there's a side mission where you have to listen to a character's grandma's story with no skipping, and you have to sit there for like 30 minutes and actually listen because you get called on like it's school. It's great. This one is my favourite because, I mean, look at it. Okay, still not done with the DLC. This year in June, they released a fully fledged Amazing Campaign DLC for free to bridge the gap between this game and Borderlands 3. And that was super cool, but it felt more like a Tales from the Borderlands sequel than anything else. This was released over 5 years after the last DLC, and they knew people would still play it because even though the game came out 7 years ago, the game is still incredibly active. You know a game's good when it still has a huge player base nearly a decade after it's come out. And the DLC they released was good because there's a boss called Uranus, and that's funny because bum. But seriously, he's the best farm in the game. Very quickly, the UI is incredible. Look at it. Look at this HUD. Look at this inventory screen. Look at the iconic font. Look at how it's symmetrical. It's bloody perfect. I love it so much. It is so clean. Moving on, the multiplayer. It's fun if your friends actually had the game, and even the ones that do, it would be nice if they were good at it. Nevertheless, I have wonderful memories playing the multiplayer farms back in 2013. Now we're going to move on to Easter eggs, something I feel Borderlands 2 handles really well. For starters, the Minecraft Easter egg. This was the primary reason I got the game. I'm not even joking. Then there's missions that are homages to films, TV, or video games. For example, you have to deliver pizza to people living in the sewers with turtle-like names. You have to kill a woman whose surname is White and lives with 7 psycho midgets. You have to kill an enemy named King Mong. And there are countless other Easter eggs scattered through the base game and DLC. It's astonishing. These writers and developers have my utmost respect for creating a truly wonderful video game that I feel will never truly die. Also, I just want to say, have you ever been on my channel and seen that a channel called Filmjoy is one of my biggest inspirations for doing YouTube? Well, on that channel there is a series called Movies with Mikey, which is amazing, hosted by Mikey Newman, who does fascinating videos on film. That very Mikey Newman used to work at Gearbox as a writer on Borderlands. I just wanted to point that out because that's cool. I do really implore you to check out his videos because they are incredible. Hold on a minute, I haven't actually talked about gameplay mechanics. Well, they're all good, and the game plays really smoothly. When you die, you lose money, and I don't like losing money, and there's an easy way around this, which is cool. This video was a lot more chilled and therefore had no upbeat music with title cards, as I wanted it to feel more like someone just casually talking about a game they like. And that's what I did, in anticipation for Borderlands 3. Well, I say in anticipation, but I'm writing this on the 9th of September, and I have nearly no excitement for Borderlands 3, and I have no idea why that is. I'm more excited about a Netflix show that comes out on the same day called Unbelievable, which I only found out about in June. I've been waiting for Borderlands 3 for 5 years, since this very moment. I don't understand why I'm not excited. The game looks really good. And no, it's nothing to do with the controversy surrounding the game's publisher 2K. If you don't know, they raided a fan's house because he made a YouTube video about leaked content from Borderlands 3, even though he was just repeating what he found on Reddit. Plus, even if that was the reason, that would be stupid, as they're the publisher, not the incredible developers. I have 3 potential reasons as to why I'm not excited for it. The first is that my mind is playing tricks on me. My brain knows that there is no way it will be as good as Borderlands 2, so it's not even bothering to get hyped up. The second is that I'm not really a gamer anymore. I'm a film guy. I rarely play games now, and when I do, it's old ones. It's either Skate 3, which even though came out in 2009, I'm pretty sure that's my most played game within the last 2 years, this, Minecraft, Spider-Man PS4, Breath of the Wild, or Smash Bros. Ultimate. And occasionally I'll find a very cheap indie game on the Switch or Steam. I know those last few aren't old games, but I'm not exactly playing the freshest games because there's only really ever 2 AAA games that I buy annually now, and Borderlands 3 is going to be the only one that I buy this year. The third of which is that gaming isn't anywhere as good as it used to be. 2013 or 2014 was the peak for me, and it started getting bad around then, because now it's all the same rushed garbage with microtransactions, with only a few exceptions, most of which being indie games. I suppose that's more of a reason why I've turned to film in recent years, but it's not. Film is just great, and I love it. I also love Borderlands 2, and I know that I've gone off topic, but what I'm saying is, on Friday, when my £90 pre-order ends up on my doorstep, I know I won't be playing it. I'll be watching that Netflix show I just mentioned. Nothing against the game, just something against gaming in general, where I can't get excited for them anymore, and I'm not too sure why. Man, this video took a long and weird turn with a convoluted message, didn't it? Well, as long as you understand that I love Borderlands 2, but don't love the gaming scene at the moment and why that is, then I succeeded, just like Gearbox did with Borderlands 2, and just like I hope they have with Borderlands 3, which they most definitely have, as Gearbox have some of the most lovely people working there. Anyway, thanks to them for making great games, and thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I hate that man. But you also find it so satisfying when you, or Lilith, kill him. Are you goddamn serious right now? Oh my god.